All right, welcome back to ABA Exam Review and the continuation of our BCBA practice question series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like, subscribe, and share. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. We are starting to mix in some 6th edition questions, and we're going to continue doing that until we get to the end of the year. And once 2025 comes around, we will switch over to 6th edition content exclusively. So be on the lookout for that. Our 6th edition content will be done in the middle of October. If you get the 5th edition content, we will send you those 6th edition exams at no extra charge. So be sure to reach out to us with any questions. But again, mid-October, the 6th edition practice exams and study guide will be done. But without further ado, let's work hard, let's study hard, and let's get going. Following an initial assessment on a child's communication skills, a behavior analyst learns that the child lives in a household where 3 different languages, including English, are spoken, but English is spoken at the child's school. The family also uses nonverbal communication heavily in their interactions with others, as is their culture. If the analyst is there to teach socially valid communication, how should the analyst approach this from a cultural standpoint? So one of the new or more novel things on the newest task list is this idea of approaching interventions from a cultural standpoint. We're approaching supervision, we're approaching assessment, we're approaching everything with cultural values in mind, because we are working with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. So if we want to teach not only socially valid communication, so communication that is meaningful in the child's life, and be culturally sensitive, how do we do that? Well, what do we know so far? We know the child lives in a house with multiple languages, including English, and that English is spoken at the child's school. Additionally, nonverbal communication is a big part of the family's culture. So what can we do to remain culturally sensitive, but also be effective? A, consider both verbal and nonverbal forms of communication when developing the treatment plan. This is a good answer. We're going to consider verbal communication because that is our goal, but also nonverbal communication because that's part of the family's culture. And so this is taking into account what the family values and what is part of their customs and trying to incorporate it into a treatment plan that also targets what you're looking to improve, which is the verbal communication. So A looks pretty good. B, focus on verbal responses in English, as this is the primary language in the child's school. Now, that may be the case, but this family speaks multiple languages at home, and they engage in nonverbal communication as part of their culture. And so focusing strictly on English verbal responses might be neglecting several key factors from your assessment. C, remain objective and avoid any subjective cultural norms or beliefs in treatment planning. We just can't do that, right? Objectivity is our #1 skill. It's an asset. It's what we strive for. But we can't discount cultural norms or beliefs, even if it doesn't jive or doesn't fit with our own beliefs or what we think may be best. Now, that being said, this is a conversation you need to have with stakeholders. How can you balance being culturally sensitive while also remaining objective and being effective? That's one of the challenges as a behavior analyst that you're going to face. And then D, teach the child only in the parent's native language to respect the culture of the household. Now, that might not even be possible, right? Maybe you and your technicians only speak English. So D just isn't realistic. And it's not realistic to refer out every client who speaks another language. So if we want to be culturally sensitive, but also be socially valid, A is going to be our best answer choice. Consider both verbal and nonverbal forms of communication when developing that treatment plan. Mac tells Charlie and Dennis that he can roundhouse kick the mirror off a parked car. Mac swears that he did it just a couple of hours ago. Charlie and Dennis think that there is no way Mac can do a roundhouse kick and tell Mac they need to see it to believe it. What is represented by Charlie and Dennis's request? A key part of our applied behavior questions are identifying who is the question asking about. Because here we have Mac, we have Charlie, and we have Dennis, and they're all doing things. The question wants to know about Charlie and Dennis's behavior. So what are Charlie and Dennis doing? Well, they're reacting to Mac, his claim that he can do a roundhouse kick. Charlie and Dennis say there's no way. We want to see it to believe it. Now, when we want to observe something, right? When we want to objectively see something, what are we talking about? What are we trying to be? Are we trying to be A, empirical? We are. Charlie and Dennis want to empirically test, basically, if Mac can do the roundhouse kick. It's very empirical to say, I don't think so until I can measure it, until I can see it. That's what Charlie and Dennis are doing. Are they being parsimonious? Parsimonious says you're using or implementing or choosing what's going to be effective that you know is going to be effective. It doesn't really apply here, right? Being parsimonious does not really apply to what Charlie and Dennis are claiming, which is they want to see Mac do the roundhouse kick to believe it. What about determinism? Determinism says the universe is lawful and orderly and things happen for a reason. Charlie and Dennis are not questioning the deterministic nature of the behavior. And then selectionism is behaviors are chosen by consequences or by genetics down the line. It's not a selectionism issue, right? We're not looking at operant selectionism or consequence maintained behavior, anything like that. Charlie and Dennis are simply saying, we want to empirically validate that Mac can do this roundhouse kick before we believe Mac that he can do that roundhouse kick. You, a behavior analyst, are supervising a future behavior analyst. You're offering to let them help you write treatment plans for an 8-year-old girl who engages in self-injury. Your supervisee tells you they had a very similar client just a few months ago. The supervisee says the plan they used was extremely effective at reducing self-injury and that you should use that exact same plan, although no assessment has been done. What approach should be taken? It's very tempting to just reuse the same plan over and over, especially if you get a lot of clients around the same age or same developmental level, and if the behavior is not that serious. The problem is you can't do that. Each client has to be individualized. We need assessments and we need unique treatment plans for each client. Does that mean you're never going to repeat an intervention? No. But if you're going to repeat an intervention, you better have a good reason for it, meaning you better have done an assessment that indicates repeating the intervention is necessary. In this case, you have a supervisee who says they have a client who is very similar to this 8-year-old girl with self-injury, and they used a plan that was effective and that they should just use the exact same plan, even though no assessment has been done. Now, that's just not accurate. So as a supervisor, what approach should you take? A, you should tell them that you will try out that plan if they can find a copy of the plan. No, we have to do this assessment first. We can't just plagiarize an old plan because it worked for somebody similar to this 8-year-old girl. B, even though no assessment has been done, you should first try the same plan since self-injury is dangerous. Again, we can't do anything without this assessment. This 8-year-old girl deserves individualized treatment and not just treatment that worked for somebody else. C, you should tell the supervisee that a functional behavior assessment needs to be done before implementing any plan. Yes, we need a new assessment, regardless of how the supervisee feels about this prior plan. A new assessment must be done. D, you should first evaluate the plan yourself before implementing the plan. You can evaluate the plan and you should evaluate the plan, but that assessment has to be done regardless. So approach you need to take is tell the supervisee before we do anything, a new functional behavior assessment must be completed. Which of the following answer choices best represents respondent conditioning? All right, we got to understand the difference between respondent and operant conditioning. Couple main differences. One, operant conditioning is what we deal with typically as analysts because it's consequence maintained behavior, right? Consequences are affecting future behavior. Respondent conditioning doesn't deal with consequences. It deals with that stimulus reflex relationship. So we're looking for something where behavior and conditioning is occurring without necessarily consequences being involved. So a student starts engage more with their peers after their peers invite them over for the weekend. Well, clearly there's a consequence here, right? The student is now engaging more with their peers after being invited over for the weekend. So there's clearly some consequence maintained behavior. That is operant conditioning. B, a runner starts to sweat anytime they hear a loud bang because the bang resembles the sound a starter pistol makes. Now, think about this, right? The runner is sweating, which is a reflex, when they hear a loud bang because the bang resembles the sound a starter pistol makes. So that loud bang, no matter what, has been paired with that starter pistol sound, and that runner is now sweating on any loud bang. This is respondent conditioning. It's not necessarily maintained by any consequence. It's just a reflex in reaction to a stimulus. And then C, a baby starts to cry when parents leave the room, even though parents are not providing a consequence for this behavior. So crying is also a reflex. This baby is crying when the parents leave the room. So the stimulus is parents leave the room. The reflex is crying, and there's not necessarily a consequence. So that's going to be respondent conditioning. If behavior persists and happens, and there's no clear consequence, and it's a reflex, then we're considering it respondent conditioning. After spending some time outside with your kids, you are ready to go inside. You say, all right, let's go clean up for dinner. After a pause, you say, kids. They get up and start to go inside, and you say, thank you. What is kids functioning as relative to the kids getting up? Very easy question to end it. Very straightforward. Remember, when you get those easy questions, trust your preparation. Don't overthink it. Answer it. Move on. So we're looking at kids relative to kids getting up. Well, we know you're outside, you're ready to go inside, which might be that motivating operation. You say, all right, let's go clean up for dinner. Looks like the SD, or the discriminative stimulus. You pause and you say, kids. Looks like a prompt, because then the kids get up, which is the response, and then you say thank you, which is the consequence. So if we broke it down quickly, spending time outside with your kids and ready to go inside might be the motivation again. All right, let's go clean up is the SD. Kids follows the SD, but comes before the response. So that's our prompt. Get up is the response, and then thank you is the consequence. So kids is functioning as what? It's functioning as B, the prompt. Very straightforward ABC question. Don't overthink it. Trust your prep. Answer it. Move on. Thanks for watching. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com. Like we said, we're going to be mixing in some 6th edition content until we get to 2025 when it officially changes. Our 6th edition content is going to be done and available mid-October. Be on the lookout for that. If you purchase the 5th edition exam materials now and you need the 6th edition, please let us know and we'll send that to you at no additional charge. Other than that, keep working hard, keep studying hard. We'll see you soon.